Welcome to Empowered. I'm Elizabeth Naumovski. Today's show is about the unfair taxation of solo seniors. We'll uncover the hidden tax challenges facing solo seniors, who are typically women, since women live longer than men. Now, when a spouse passes, taxes don't just stay the same, they often jump. Single filers face different brackets and miss out on credits and deductions that joint filers enjoy. So, this means solo seniors often pay more, even with similar incomes. Also, when a spouse passes, they can pass on their RRSP or their RRIF assets to a spouse tax free. A single senior's assets can be taxed as high as 50%. So join us as we reveal what's driving this unfair tax burden and what every solo senior needs to know to protect their financial future. Today, I'm joined by Elizabeth Brown, who's the Director of Single Seniors for Tax Fairness. Elizabeth, welcome to Empowered. I'm so happy to have you here today.
Thank you, Elizabeth, for having me. It's a great pleasure.
So tell us who Single Seniors for Tax Fairness are and what exactly do you do?
We are a volunteer group, so we're a nationwide movement, Canadian movement, that's devoted to lobbying for revisions to the Federal Income Tax Act to provide fairness and equity for single seniors or solo seniors in their taxation. And who we define as single seniors are folks who are 65 plus, who are widowed, separated, divorced, or who have never been married. And I just want to emphasize, Elizabeth, that our focus is really on improving the equity for single seniors, as you highlighted above. We don't want for there to be any changes to those benefits that senior couples now receive. We are entirely run by volunteers and funded solely by donations. We have over 1,200 supporters nationwide. And we have had a number of petitions read in the House of Commons, and we also make submissions as part of the federal budget submission. So that gives us a little bit, gives you a little bit of flavor of who we are. And, you know, our areas of concern on this, as you mentioned, I mean, any member of a senior couple could actually become single through death and increasingly divorce for seniors. And so this is an area which we think needs a lot more of attention, primarily because of the changing demographics in the country.
Well, the gray divorce is really important as well because a lot of people are getting divorced in their 50s, 60s, even 70s and 80s. So this is a very
Yes.
important topic. And now I know that you've got concerns regarding women. Women live longer than men. We know that. But
Yes.
what are the other concerns that you have regarding women?
Well, as you said, women do typically live longer than men, according to Stats Can. The average life expectancy in Canada is roughly 80 for men and 84 for women. And so those increases in life expectancy sort of carry through to a number of different things. And because women are living longer, it means they're going to need more in the way of financial supports. And so when you look at the things that single senior women spend money on, they're going to be spending money, first of all, on their own day-to-day expenses. There's absolutely no differences in the expenses that single seniors pay versus senior couples. So if you look at a lot of non-discretionary expenses, mortgage, rent, property taxes, condo fees, home repairs, they're all the same. And then, of course, we have to look at women's being able to pay for their own health care. And also, we can't forget things like family obligations, that single seniors will have the similar family obligations, not only for themselves, but also potentially for aging parents because our demographics have changed, and also potentially for children and grandchildren. So if we look at people's, the single seniors' day-to-day expenses, and we think about housing, about 68% of seniors who live alone are women. And about 70% of those who live in long-term care or retirement homes are female. And then if you look at private homes, something like 40% of women who are between the ages of 80 and 84 live alone, while interestingly, about 18% of men do. And I think there's some other social issues happening there. So when you look at the expenses that single seniors have senior women have, they really are quite similar to what senior couples experience.
I think this is a really important conversation and topic because there are a lot of single women out there that have no interest in having a partner or being
That's right.
married. And so they need to be aware of what their taxation is like. And And I think it's important for everyone to understand this and learn. So when we come back, we're going to talk about examples of the impact of the concerns that you've been discussing. So please don't go away. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Empowered. I'm Elizabeth Naumovski. Unfair taxation of solo seniors is our topic today. So Elizabeth, let's get right into this. Do you have any specific examples of the impact of your concerns?
Yes, why don't we show a case one of a scenario that we mocked up just to explain the situation. So what we wanted to do basically is to compare the taxation of a couple, senior couple at 50,000 in income with a single senior at 50,000 in income. So you can see there's the two columns there on the left. That's our spouse one and spouse two. That's our couple, and then of course the person in the last column is our single. And so if you look and you see, so for example, in our example, everyone is getting old age security, everyone's getting CPP. Now, the one thing that we already see with the difference with the couple is that they can split pension earnings. And so they, for example, have $16,000 of pension earnings that they're going to split. And so then the single person, of course, has additional pension earnings that they cannot split. So right off the bat, the senior couple is going to have an added advantage. And so there's the other concern that we have is not only pension income splitting, but there's specific tax credits that that each senior can claim. So there's things like a personal amount, pension amount, and an age amount. With the couple, each member of that couple can claim those 3 credits. So the couple can claim a total of 6 credits on that 50,000 in income, whereas a single person, of course, can only claim 3 credits. And not only that, but things like the age amount and the pension amount, if one member of a couple doesn't use up all their credits, they can pass them over to the remaining spouse so that you get the couple who can really take a lot of advantage of tax credits. So basically, by the time, we work through the income splitting and the additional credits, we find that on 50,000, a couple might pay $600 in tax, where a single person might pay approximately 5,700
And
in
that's a
tax.
huge, huge difference.
That is a huge difference, and that's using 2024 numbers. We just modified these numbers. And so, again, coming back to that, when you think about the fact that seniors' expenses, a single senior's expenses, really aren't that much, different than a spouse, than a couple. And not only that, everyone's going to be focused on their health care because of increases in life expectancy. Everybody has maybe elderly parents or children or
Mhm.
grandchildren they're looking after. That can make quite a difference. And so I think what we really, need to do is we really need to start asking, why is there that difference? And does this difference really make sense when you look at seniors' needs in 2025?
Okay, so I think you had another case that you wanted to discuss as well.
Yes. And so if we look at the disparities slide, so basically what we've done there is we run through the taxation at different levels of income. So if we look at 30 and 40,000, couple may pay no tax on that at 30,000. A single person may pay roughly $1,200 in tax. At 40,000, a single person may pay $3,500 in tax. We've already talked about the 50. At 70,000, a couple may pay approximately 4,600 in tax. A single person may pay roughly 12,000. So that's a difference of about 7,000. And then looking at 100,000, a couple may pay roughly 11,000 in tax, whereas a single may pay roughly 22,000. So that's almost twice. So that column here is all of the extra taxation that a single person could pay. And because we can income split, we actually start to lose things like our access to the age amount tax credit. And at 100,000, the single person starting to get a clawback of the old age security when a couple does not, because again, they're allowed to split their income and they each can drop below the clawback level for for old age security. So I think this again really highlights the disparities in those blocks that are colored. We needed to give an example of, we were asked to provide an example of how much more a couple could earn before they're paying the same taxes as a single. So at 70,000, a single person might pay $11,000 in tax. A couple could earn an additional 30,000 to get to 100,000 before they're paying roughly the same tax as a single person. So again, roughly 11,000, 12,000 there. So
So,
that we just want to show there's a wide range of issues with taxation here.
and I love the fact that you did put together those slides because they actually, to me, I'm very visual and tactile. So when I see it, it actually resonates with me, and I know that this will resonate with a lot of people as well. When we come back from our commercial break, I want to talk to you about specific concerns from women who've contacted you because this is important as well. So please don't go away. Welcome back to Empowered. I'm Elizabeth Naumovski. Unfair taxation of solo seniors is our topic today. Elizabeth, it's really interesting that we are covering this. When I got married, the accountant said, "Well, now you're going to have the same accountant as your husband because you can pool everything together. You could do income splitting, and it really does make a huge difference in your life." And
Mhm.
I was single for all those years, and there was nothing I could do about it. And it really wasn't a concern because I had no power to change anything. So I'm really happy that we're talking about this. I also want to discuss the fact that women contacted you. What were their
Yes.
specific concerns?
Well, it's funny. We get contacted. We also do presentations to a lot of seniors groups, and we've shared those same slides that we just reviewed with you, and we have heard audible gasps from the audience. We basically have sort of two main groups. We have folks who have been married and lost spouses. That's what we find is that's when it really hits home because they're used to having certain benefits and then they lose them and then they say, well, yeah, but my other expenses really haven't changed, or I still have to worry about my health care, or I'm still want to help out my grandchild with their education, and now I have to pay significantly more taxes. Um, so we also hear a lot from people who again who've just never been married, but they're talking to their family and friends, and they realize that there are these benefits, and again they're not really sure why. But we have heard from people across the country. So, for example, we had a woman who her husband passed away in 2023, and she did a comparison of her taxes when her husband was alive and then her first round of taxes when she was a widow. And what she found is even though her income dropped by $10,000, her actual taxes went up by $10,000, even on a lower income. We hear from folks who are caring for children at home who aren't able to look after themselves. Maybe they've got some form of physical or mental disability. Um, we hear from folks who were single parents when they were younger and had to sort of scrimp and save and to support their kids. And they're finding that they're single, they never remarried, and now they're finding that they're at a significant tax disadvantage. And so, um, or we hear from women who are living in like a long-term care or retirement, and they say, "Boy, your message is really resonating with us," and they're sharing actually our message with the people that they live with in those living situations. And so, there are a lot of people. I think it's just a lack of awareness. Like I say, they either find out at the worst time in their life after losing a spouse, or it's just a complete a lack of awareness when people have so many other expenses, then to find on top of that, that they are being taxed significantly higher, on the same income relative to a couple that, it's a challenge for them.
So let's talk about expenses. Most
Yes.
people would assume, and we're told not to assume, but however, um, they assume that household expenses, well, don't couples have more expenses and therefore need more money?
Well, it's interesting that you say that. We've already talked about, like, the non-discretionary expenses, mortgage, rent, property taxes, condo fees. Those don't tend it doesn't really make a difference whether you're married or single on those. But I think one of the things we should highlight is the increase in life expectancy. And we hear in the seniors community, there's a difference between health span and lifespan. So your lifespan is your actual number of years. Your health span is the number of years in which you are going to be healthy within that period. And I read one study that says the gap between a lifespan and a health span might be about 10 years. So what that suggests is the last 10 years of someone's life, that's when they are going to need the most additional care, again, because we're living longer. So once you're into that, that gap between lifespan and health span, to me, it's anything could happen in that period. Some people will need a little bit of care, some people will need a lot of care, and not only do they need that care, but then who's providing it? Is it coming from maybe family and friends, or is it having to come from healthcare professionals, PSWs, nurses? Are they receiving that care at home? Are they receiving that care in a long-term care facility? And once you start getting into those things, it becomes very difficult to then say, well, married people need more money or less money. I think part of our challenge is as our society has changed, we're introducing a whole lot more independent variables. We have seniors, for example, who are told, as part of your retirement planning, don't forget to factor in care for your own elderly parents.
So
It's
hold on
not
to
beyond the
that
realm of,
thought, Elizabeth. Hold
yeah,
on to that thought. We've got to go to commercial break, but this is really, really important because
yeah,
we all have emergencies that happen in our lives. So don't go
yes.
away. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Empowered. I'm Elizabeth Naumovski. Unfair taxation of solo seniors is our topic today. And I'm joined by Elizabeth Brown, who's the Director of Single Seniors for Tax Fairness. And before we went to commercial break, we were talking about emergencies and
Yes.
and how to deal with it. So please continue.
Yes, and seniors are being asked to plan not only for their own retirement, but also for that of their aging parents. Seniors who are divorcing are also being asked, hey, don't forget to factor in care for your adult children and grandchildren. And, more than 50% of seniors are now dipping into their own personal savings to help their kids and grandkids, and not just with the odd bag of groceries, but with huge expenses like mortgages and rents. And so, again, I think this is part of the ongoing demographic change that really should prompt a review of our tax policies to say, you know, do these policies still make sense given where Canada is in 2025?
So, what should women look for and what should they do to help them lower their taxes? Like, what are the red flags? Things to help them if there are no tax changes.
Well, I hate to say it, Elizabeth, but the best thing they can do is get married. Get married
Okay,
or common law. Seriously, there are no
it's not a
tax
solution.
benefits. No, I know. But there are no tax benefits that single seniors receive that senior couples don't. And so around tax time, you might hear sort of, here's how you lower your taxes. Well, why don't you split your pension earnings? Or why don't you share some of your tax credits? Well, single people can't really do that. So really, it comes down to the fundamental changes that need to be made in the tax code itself to make taxes fairer for single seniors. But right now, everything is skewed towards couples. And I think one of the reasons, or some of the reasons why taxes have not been updated, again, I think there's a perception that people have shorter life expectancies, so they don't necessarily need some of the same dollars. That turns out actually we do, and just I think just different perceptions as to the financial requirements that single seniors have.
So, what do women need to do to make this issue a priority to those in charge of our tax code? Because I know, I mean, there's so many different groups out there trying to make changes. Some are
Yes.
really loud, some are silent. Like, what do we need to do?
Well, I mean, we're trying to do our best by reaching out to the folks who can make the changes, who tend to be the federal MPs. So they can certainly check out our website at singleseniors4taxfairness.com and sign up as a supporter of ours. They can email us with their comments and stories. They can write to their own MPs or have or help to arrange a meeting with their own MPs. We have a letter template on our website. We're on social media. We're on Facebook, LinkedIn, Blue Sky. They can check us out there to help amplify the message. They can tell their friends and family as well to help amplify the message. We're going to be launching a petition shortly. So if they sign up as a supporter and get on our mailing list, then they can join in our petition and hopefully to get the attention of the people who make these key decisions.
So, last question. And I can't believe this show has gone by so quickly. What do you say to young people who are struggling with their costs regarding the issues affecting single seniors?
I know that, there's a lot of concern about, the resources needed for singles for sorry, for young folks. If you look at the last budget, the last federal budget, for example, is very much focused on the youth. I think we would say that, we're not saying that we don't want to pay taxes. What we're saying is we want to be taxed fairly. We would like to move from a situation where we're paying, more taxes on the same income as couples to similar taxes as the same income as couples. So again, we want to pay our fair share, and we just want that share to truly be fair.
And I love the fact that you just said, you know what, we want to pay our fair share because we do live in this incredible country and
We do.
we need to support it and we need to flourish and we need it to grow. So nobody wants anything for free. We just want to be taxed fairly. Elizabeth Brown, thank you so much for reaching out to me and discussing this topic. It's very eye-opening and I know it'll help a lot of people going forward.
And thank you so much, Elizabeth, for having me. This has been great.
It has. Elizabeth says, understand how unfair the current situation is and fight for change. Understand how your taxes increase when your spouse dies and plan ahead. I'm Elizabeth Naumovski, and I'm here to empower you and make frugality fashionable. Once again, thank you so much for watching. Bye for now.